It'd be a lot easier, wouldn't it? We could do stratified squamous for everything. That could be our kidneys, that could be our skin, that could be our lungs, that could be everything. That's not the way it works. So with every one of the tissues, there's gives and takes. There's advantages and disadvantages. What the heck is the advantage of being super microscopically thin?
Large surface area.
Well, there's a lot of surface area in the lungs because there's a million of these alveolar sacs. But how about, what are you doing in the lungs, right? What are you doing? You're taking in oxygen and you're breathing out CO2 by diffusion. What's the advantage of having a little bitty thin cell that's the size of a microscopic thread? You ready? I'm going to show you the advantage. Fast, right? If you had this type of tissue in your lung, you ready? Breathe in. It would take you an hour to exhale and inhale. So this allows it to diffuse super fast. So what's the advantage of simple squamous? The diffusion rate is instantaneous. Again, in and out oxygen, CO2, I don't have to think about it. It hits it and it crosses it and it comes all day long. Right? It's nice. What's the disadvantage of simple squamous epithelium? Huh? It's the perfect thing. It's fragile as hell. She's little. Both, all y'all are little. Y'all are all girls. Well, you're not 6'3", right? If she comes into the hospital, you want to be hurt? Okay. She had a car wreck. Her lung, one lung is collapsed, the other one's punctured, and she's and they're going to ventilate her. And I was drunk the night before, which I'm just making this up now. I don't feel good, and they say put her on a ventilator. Okay, ventilator, 1,000 mLs, and I pump 1,000 mLs of air down into her lungs. She's gonna die. Her parents are gonna sue me. I'm gonna lose my job. I'm gonna go to jail. It's way too much. For you, 1,000 we're good, man. For me, yeah, 800 would be fine for you. But that's too much for a smaller person. Because this is fragile. It's fragile. So what does our body do? We have a trachea. We have a primary bronchi. We have a secondary bronchi. We have a tertiary bronchi. We have a respiratory bronchi. We have a respiratory bronchiole. And then we have the final one before we get to that sac. So we breathe air in, it goes hink, 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 hink. By the time it gets all the way down to there, it is tranquilo. There's no pressure. Because this is fragile as a, I don't think it's something super fragile. Like a little piece of thin glass. You better be careful, because it will break open. But the advantage, man, it can diffuse quick. That's why you don't, it doesn't matter right here in the body cavity, because you have all these muscles and stuff supporting that. You want it really thin, just to give you a little thin, slick layer. In the lungs, we want it really thin because diffusion. So, number one thing about it, diffusion is awesome. Strength is horrible. There you go. You got that down? Simple squamous. Let's go to the next one. Stratified squamous. Take the top layers flat, the rest of them like cubes, but remember, it's named for the top layer only. So this is stratified squamous epithelium. Again, you want that in your lungs? I could put 1,000 in the middle of it, it wouldn't matter. But you'd have to, again, hold your breath. It would take forever to fuse through it. So you can't put this in the lungs because you would die. You couldn't get enough air. Where do you want this stuff? Somewhere where it's a wicked environment, where it's rough. This gives me lousy diffusion, but what does it give me? Awesome.
Protection.
Protection, strength. Surface of the skin. Woo, I'm not bleeding. Can you imagine simple squamous? I just blood be pouring out of it. I can run into things, hit things because it's thick layer. Lining of the mouth, I can chew up Doritos with no water. I can swallow the Doritos with no water. I can swallow the Doritos through my esophagus with no water, and it's just rubbing and tearing all these tissue here, and it doesn't matter. I can take a gigantic poo-poo. That's not very anatomical. I can be constipated and have my feces not enough water, and have it really rough, and it's still okay. Same way, a kid can come out of that with fingernails. Right? Oh yeah, guys are like, oh, we can't, don't do it. And guess what? You can scrape off the top layer, new cells come up by diffusion, mitosis, and you're good to go. You repair it. So this is somewhere you need strength. Let's just put, instead of picking one of those, let's just say high friction areas, where there's a lot of mechanical friction and mechanical stress. What's good about it? Strength. What stinks about it? Diffusion's horrible. Okay, here we go. Now here's where this is in between. One layer of cubes. What's the name?
Simple cuboidal.
Simple cuboidal epithelium. One layer of cubes. Is the diffusion okay? Yeah, it's okay. Is it good as squamous? No. Could I put that in the lungs? No, because you'd have to be going. Would it work? Maybe. Your lungs would be stronger, but you wouldn't breathe as easy. So here's where you need a little more strength, but you still got to have some diffusion. This is in the kidney. What are you doing in the kidney? What are you making that now? Everybody here is making what in the kidney?
Urine.
Urine. So there's going to be urine inside this tube. And to push through the blood inside this tube. And when you push the blood through there, it pushes the waste products through it. It needs too much pressure. So the pressure in the kidney is higher. So you can't have squamous. Oh, I wish I had squamous epithelium in my kidneys. I'd be a urinating sucker. But I'd also be bleeding. If I see blood in my urine, I'm going to freak out. So you make them a little thicker. You go to cuboidal, which gives me more strength and still has fairly good diffusion. One layer of cubes, one layer of cubes, one layer of cubes. Bottom, top, free surface. All of them have the same look. That's kidney cubes. You like that answer for the location? It looks just like the lab. Y'all lied to me. That's why Robert put me in there. He told me today. He told me the truth. I go, Robert, why you make me teach a lab? I don't like those labs. I mean, I like my students in the lab, but I don't like teaching those labs. I don't understand a computer thing. He started laughing at me. He goes, Robert said, we put you in there so you can tell us what's wrong with the lab and what's going on. And last year, y'all, when I do this and I'd say, they go, oh, we never seen that picture before. That's in your lab. I saw it. It looks just like that, you liars. That slide for simple cuboid looks exactly like that. I saw it last week when I was in the lab. The simple stratified squamous looks exactly like that. Exactly. That one doesn't look like the one was in. Okay. How are you going to explain this in my test? A single layer of cubes. Simple cuboid. Where do you find it? Kidney tubes. What does it do fairly well? It has okay diffusion and okay strength. You see that in the lab test next week? You write down simple cuboidal epithelium and put all three words. I'll put the pointer right there, like right on it, and you write down what you see.
I really hope we get a fucking bank, dog.
Now stack them up. Stack them up. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, only one. What's the deal? There's two there. You just don't see the nucleus. The nucleus got chopped off. It's impossible to take a scalpel through a real tissue and get it to look perfect. They're making it look perfect in the drawing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's the stratified cuboid, right? More than one layer. You can see it there. When you see that, you know that's not one layer. And you can see those are kind of cubes. That's only in ducts. This is in a sweat gland duct. So what's inside there right now? If you're sweating. Sweat, right? This is the duct that takes it to the surface of the skin. It doesn't have to diffuse. It needs to be thick and strong. So this has great strength. I don't know any other place that those would be except sweat gland duct. I think they're pretty rare. Sweat gland ducts are, you don't have very many, and they're not. That's the only place you have that kind of tissue. Ah, it's a liar. The liar. Those aren't cubes. Those aren't columns. Those aren't cubes. Those aren't columns. This one doesn't fit the rule. It's specialized. And it's only in the urinary bladder and the ureters. Those are the tubes, like here's the kidney, right? There's one of your kidneys. Here's the ureter coming down. There's the bladder. Here's your other kidney. There's the ureter coming down. So it's lining there. It's lining this. So everywhere that stuff is, there's urine there. It's very specialized. Oh, I like that picture. Again, my grandmother told me when I was little, because I grew up as an only child. My mom was working, and I was raised by my grandma, and all my cousins were girls. So it was me and all the girls playing with dolls and stuff. and my grandmother would come outside, I'll never forget it, she'd go, hey, Jeff, you're a boy, and your bladder is bigger than those girls, so you need to come inside more so they can go to the bathroom. I was like, okay, I believe my grandma, that's a lie. My bladder's bigger than her bladder because I'm bigger than her. But if there was a 6'3" woman standing right here looking at me, we have the same size bladder. It's all about your body size. Okay? Is that a male or a female bladder? And it's easy as hell to tell.
It's a female. It's a female.
Hi. Is that a male or female bladder?
Female.
You like female? Cut why? Because it's pretty? I think it looks kind of pretty. Got a beautiful trigon right there. It's got a beautiful, it's got a ligament holding it. It's got a ureter. You said female? You want to go with that? Everybody fails. That's a man.
There's a prostate on it.
Guys, what?
There's a prostate on
Do you feel the adrenaline? You ain't got one of those. You ain't got one of those. Hey, hey. That's a prostate gland. You ain't got one. Right? Guys, you're going to be sorry. When you're about 80, I hope you'll think of me. I'll be dead. You're going to go, I remember when Robert was going to tell me I was going to give me trouble and I can't pee. And they always, they always harden up. My dad died of that. He died of it. He got cancer, a gut thing, and it spread to his liver and killed him. So in older men, it's a horrible thing to have. I wish I could get rid of mine right now. But the problem is the surgery is complicated because it's around your urethra. So when you do surgery, usually you messes with your urination. And I don't want to do that. Again, that's got nothing to do with this. Guys, we're talking only to the men now. Whose had theirs checked?
Oh, hell no, bro.
What?
Oh, hell no.
No?
Not yet.
Wait, when you're 40. Wait till you're 40. 40, 45. I've done it once. I'll never do it again. You ready? This way, I'm going to get you guys ready. Here's what they're going to do to you. Can you put on your back? Can you go like this? And true story, I said, because he was older than me. He said, son, you're going to have to loosen up. And I looked back and I said, and I said, no. He had a, he did this.
Oh.
And when you do that, you feel like you have to urinate. It's not pleasant. And you know when I told my daughters that I got home from the deal, and they were all looking at me, all three of them, like, Dad, you don't have to go to gynecologist. That's nothing. So I know y'all have your thing, but don't do it, guys. Hey. He did say, he goes, about 7:05. We're going to leave here and go to the game to Minute Maid. I got season tickets. Here we go. And we're going to leave at 3:30. We're pushing it. We ain't stopping. We're going to Minute Maid Park, full blast. She's looking at me, hey, how do you go to the bathroom? Sorry. When you get there, that's what your tissue is going to look like. When your bladder is full to the brim, all that urine is pushing down, it makes it squish. Here's when you go in the Minute Maid bathroom and you relieve yourself, the tissue stretches back out. So this is empty bladder, full bladder. So it transitions depending on, and then what would it look like in the middle? It'd be half full bladder. So it just moves during the day, whatever you're doing. I think the one in your lab looked more like this. I can't really remember. You saw one good one? There were some good ones. I can't remember looking at a real good one. They're real light. But I think I saw a few. So again, they changed the way they look because of the amount of urine there, so it gets the name transition. They're not cubes, they're not columns, they're not flat, they're weird. Only in the urinary system and the bladder and the ureters. Okay. All right, come on. Simple. Columnar. One layer of columns. Now you look over here and I have people do this. Robertson, there's two. That one's on top. It's not on top. It's behind it. So when the knife went through, it just missed. So again, to make it perfect like this, it's not going to happen in real life. Those nucleuses are pretty much all lined up. There's nothing on top of one another. Those are all simple. This is simple columnar epithelium from the intestine. You want to just use that since it's here? I'll use whatever you want. You want to use stomach? I'll use stomach. How about just digestive tract? You get to make the test. In lab, you put whatever you want to put, as long as it's in that list. But on my test, I got to pick one. I'll probably pick stomach or intestine. Is the diffusion good? Is the diffusion good through that?
So,
It's It's okay, it's lousy, but it's doable. Okay, so now we're diffusing in the stomach glucose. The glucose has to go, and glucose. Hours pass into your bloodstream. So it just takes a long time, but it does diffuse. But what do I get a lot of? Strength. That way, so my intestine can go like this, and it can go like this, and it can pull and move, and it doesn't tear. I've never had blood in my feces, thank goodness. So my intestine lining is secure. So it's really strong, but in the diffusion it's just slower. Okay, you got 21 foot of intestine, so it can take time. The other liar. That's the other liar. It lies. This has cilia right away, so I can tell you that that's what tissue it is. It's pseudostratified cilia and columnar epithelium because I see the cilia. I looked at somebody's lab test that was arguing with me about what they put, and that picture was horrible. So taking that test, I felt bad for you because I couldn't see the cilia on it, even though that was the answer. I don't know what to do about that. It wasn't a good picture. But this one is pretty specialized too. It's in the trachea. It's in the bronchial tube. So it's for air when you breathe.
Bro, they better give us a fucking word.
The name is pseudostratified, which in Latin means false. So it is falsely stratified. Well, it looks pretty stratified to me. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Those are stratified. What the hell, falsely stratified? Well, it's not stratified because to be stratified, you have to be completely on top of the other one. If you touch this bottom membrane, you're simple. Let's see if the cells all touch. Touches. You have to keep going. They all touch. So actually that tissue is simple. Even though it looks stratified, so it gets the name pseudostratified. Why ciliated? Because it has cilia. Why columnar? Because the top layer is column. Why epithelium? Because it's epithelium. Well, because it looks like it's stratified, that's the name. So pseudostratified means falsely stratified. It really is a simple tissue. But since it doesn't look that way, they give it a different name. That's why it doesn't fit. And again, you have this in specialized trachea, specialized area to clean up the mucus, to move mucus. Pseudostratified. Do you look like that in your lab? Didn't see it?
I didn't.
Make sure Friday that you say, Robertson, show me pseudostratified, I'll pull one out and show you.
I want to go do this.
All right, this one's kind of tough because I got